Welcome back to the Safe Room, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, the President, Sean Williams. It's a back-to-back recording. It's one of those nights. So, Lord, give me strength for this one. But today we have a very stacked episode because we got not one, not two, three special guests. And I'm so excited to have these three wonderful individuals on the podcast. And look, man, listen. The title of this episode is Where My Headphones At, and it's a perfect correlation because we got Let Me Get My Headphones podcast in the building. Jace, Jasmine, Javon, how are all of you doing today?
Doing good.
Hey, man, we're doing good.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I can't complain.
Appreciate it. Like I said, it's a back-to-back recording, so I'm going to try to muster up the strength to get this through. But again, I'm really excited to have you guys on the podcast. I remember connecting with you guys about a potential, workshop that I want to host in the summer. I can't speak too much into detail because, we have to see if it's still going to go through. But I definitely started listening to you guys and your episodes, and I was like, wow, like this is just, there's so much flavor to it. I just love how the conversations are, and definitely it caught my eye to where I would love to like reach out to you at one point and get you on the podcast. So like, again, I'm really glad to have all three of you on because like I said, I feel this is probably going to be one of those like very back and forth, fun banter type of episodes. So I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it.
Well, don't get us started now. Once we rile up, we can't take us a minute to calm down.
Right.
We got to do a lap to cool down. So you get it started if you want to.
Hey, I mean, listen, if you guys want to just go in, most of the time I'm always like talking. So sometimes I need to know when to just kind of step back and let my guests go off. So like, we'll see.
They will.
Yeah, just come on. We're here. So glad to be here, though, for real. We appreciate you. And being a friend in this industry is something that I didn't think I would find so quickly. So we definitely appreciate you from Let Me Get My Headphones to the Safe Room.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. I already love like just the passion in this talk already. Cause like we're about to get right into it. Opening segment, the hot seat. Look, man, it's just very simple. 4 questions, and just make sure you guys answer them to your best abilities. I'm not gonna do one of those like I'm gonna ask a specific person the question first, and it's you guys can whoever wants to answer for each question, just go in. Like I said, we're just here to just talk, have a good time, and vibe out. So let me get into the first question. So outside of your guys' work, and when I say work, maybe you have a job or maybe you're doing something right now outside your podcast as a work, but tell me something about yourself in one sentence.
Ooh. In one sentence.
Only one of us is answering this question?
It could be all three.
All three of us answering.
Who's ready? I think Jasmine's ready.
Does it have to be anything specific about myself? Like, about myself? You know what? Whatever, I'm going to just go for it. What's on my spirit right now? I'm Jasmine. I'm a Gemini, and I love red nails. I think that's representative of me right now.
Okay,
I like that.
You want me to come next, Jay? So you got it.
You.
Okay, all right. I'm following the same type of metrics Jasmine set forth. I'm Javon. I'm a Sagittarius, and I go crazy in the air fryer right now.
It's true.
I'm making a lot of stuff in the air fryer right now. Like it's absolutely insane. I don't listen. We can spend hours talking about my Easy Bake Oven, also known as my air fryer.
The Easy Bake Oven for adults. Cooking with light. I guess I'll go in the same format. I'm Jace. I am a Virgo, and something interesting about me outside of my work. I watch some really good anime.
Okay.
Yeah. Watch some really good anime. I have a really, really good recommendation list.
They kind of knew that already. If they listen to the pod, they kind of knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, for the people who don't listen to the pod, they don't.
Okay. All right, cool.
All right.
See, that's how we be going back and forth, right? Yeah,
They
know that.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I see how you did me.
You know what? I'm going to be honest. This is probably the first time I'm ever doing this, but I feel like I should kind of participate in this. Usually I'm the one that's like not saying anything, but I feel like the way Jasmine kind of kicked it off, I think I should just kind of follow up. So I'm Sean. I'm a Scorpio, and I
Okay.
guess something I would probably say about myself is I am a conversationalist. I just love to talk to people and just get to know them better. So I guess this is why I have this podcast.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We can definitely
Good
tell.
answer.
Good answer. Good answer.
All right, perfect. So going on to the second question. So what is the best trait to describe this individual? So I actually wrote down a person who I wanted you to describe that's opposite. So for Jasmine, I wanted you to describe Javon. Javon, I want you to describe Jace. And Jace, I want you to describe Jasmine, if that's okay.
Absolutely. I mean, it's all right with me. Can y'all? All right with y'all?
Descriptive words.
Descriptive words.
Okay. Are we choosing one word, or are we words
It
plural?
could be words plural. Does whatever works for you.
Sure. Okay. Somebody else go first. I went first last time.
Let me do Jace. Words to describe him, I'm gonna keep it simple. A brother, a dog, caretaker, somebody
I was wondering where the dog was going.
Yeah. You take care of, or they take care of you. He takes care of you. A phenomenal person that's able to dissect or transition very big topics into talkative sentences. That's, I think, one of his best skills. And I also admire, or to describe him, he's very, very passionate about just anything and everything. And that is one of the key things that really is interesting about Jace that I want people to understand or know.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They showing the love right back.
Yeah. we I didn't know he was throwing gang signs.
Right. Okay. Should you want me to go next, Jace?
Jace, go.
I'll go next.
I'll go next, so then you can go
Okay.
last. So then it's the opposite direction. A trait, attentive, patient, graceful, compassionate, and also I will say pragmatic. I think out of the three of us, I think Jay is the most pragmatic person at times. She kind of, I think for us as a trio, just thinking about it, she really does. I don't like sometimes when she referees me and Javon's disagreements, but also at the same time, because I don't want her to turn into big Auntie J and be like, can y'all, act like y'all like each other, like y'all really like y'all cousins. You know what I'm saying? But what I do like about it is that when we are in debate or banter in our conversations on the podcast, she always offers a quote or a word that will literally put me and Vaughn okay, maybe we don't need to argue about this,
right?
Or okay, we can agree to disagree, or she offers a different vantage point, being the only woman on our show, right? And sometimes we are very intentional, and we've never said this out loud on the podcast, but we're very intentional about always making sure that we make sure that Jay's voice is heard on the show, being the only woman on the show, right? And so that means that, we're very intentional about taking steps back when she's speaking. We listen when she tells us, hey, when I'm doing my segment, let me get through it first before we actually, discuss, what we talking about on What the Flick. And she's letting you know that so that you can also be your best self for her in that conversation, not so you can step on her toes. It's that I want to maximize the 15 minutes that we have to talk about this conversation. And the way that I can do that is if I get all this information out first, and I can lead that conversation in a way that's conducive and healthy for us before we get to break. And so I think her being pragmatic and like very strategic in that way is a trait that I admire.
Thank you so much. My God.
Yeah.
Sean, I adore this exercise. Thank you for setting this up. Gosh, I'm bashful. Let me see. Describing Javon, creative is an understatement. He's very operational, and I think the more I see him outside of work and outside of, well, actually, no, in work situations, the more I realize that, just how his, like, the cogs are always turning, it never stops. And like, when you think that, like, when you have one great idea generated, there's always 5 more up his sleeve. And it's like, you have no idea that he's even working on that. And it's like, what the hell? Like, when did you even have time to do that or formulate it? And it's organized. It's organized and laid out for you in a way where it's almost like all you have to do when you come to the table is like, bring what you have with you already. Like all of the, like it's really amazing to like, work with the I'll say it, a leader, the L word, a leader that
he's a leader. He's like, a leader.
Very much
as our
so,
producer.
very much a leader. Big L on that. But to do the mathematics in his head in a way that really lets like my natural strengths and Jace's natural strengths, it really like allows us to shine in that way. And humor is a massive part of it, like being just a generally funny person, because for one, if you're witty, that means you're clever. You know, you understand nuance, you understand people and communication and emotions. So I think that's another part of it. But yeah, I think that would describe my brother right there.
That's love. Yeah. Thank you.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Wow. That was so beautiful. I love that. The positive energy in the room is immaculate. Absolutely immaculate. I love it.
I know we loved each other.
You knew that.
We
please.
do.
There it is.
Usually
see,
rap beef
just right back at it.
Y'all don't see the behind scenes. We be going through it.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. An interesting fact that you rarely share about yourself. So whoever wants to start, please go ahead.
I'll shoot. Interesting fact. You won't get it out of me live on this podcast, but in a former life, I was a bit of a show choir nerd. And I had some pipes. I used to sing in the military back in the day. It's kind of weird. Like, my life has always been kind of shaped around music from, like, the people in my family that work in the entertainment industry. And so, like, in high school, I was in advanced chorus. I did it as a bet with my friend who could sang the house down. Like, him and his brother had like perfect voices, and we made a bet that we both try out, but he was in IB and I was just in honors classes, and he wasn't able to take the class, so I took it basically for both of us, and then ended up being in the elective class for 2 years. And when I went to the Army, I had a chance to sing in the Army choir a couple of times, and then when I went to junior college, I got a scholarship to sing in show choir. I don't think I've ever shared that on the show.
So
like ever. So that's super exclusive.
Wow. You're going to have to sing next time we get on the mic.
No.
Right. Just bust it out.
That will not happen.
Come on to the mic.
Okay, well, this used to be my icebreaker freshman year of college.
I'm
a little embarrassed to say. I mean, it was my
go-to.
Holding
on to your college?
It was my go-to. I mean, because it is an
That's
interesting
the real
fact.
Conversation. Right
It is an interesting fact, but I kind of let go of it the older I got, because I mean, like, who really cares?
You're not letting it go. You're bringing it back.
You're definitely resurfacing it right now in this conversation.
So when I was a baby, right? I was, my mom was pregnant with me. I was her words. This is what she told me. She was pregnant with me. I was up in the womb and stuff, but I was so pressed against it in a way that it kind of mutated my left ear permanently, and it's kind of has a little bit of a bend to it. My right ear and my left ear are like that. And so, like, growing up, like being like an infant into being a toddler, she used to tape a penny to the back of my ear so that it would stand up straight and it wouldn't have a bend to it. So,
wow.
So. Yeah, it's still bent though.
That might be the funniest fact I've ever heard.
You're gonna need real copper for that, not no penny.
It's the fact that she really put a penny behind your ear. And
You
she's
know?
like, that's it. That's the one.
That's
the
gonna
one.
be the thing to help us.
That's gonna be the one that's gonna hold the girls together.
That's gonna be the one to hold the hair behind the ear.
Yep.
Right. That's the one that's gonna show. So we gotta get it. We gotta get it together.
This one's gonna hold it. In that vein, let's talk about something that's interesting to me. I wear glasses. I know you know that, but you don't know if I'm farsighted or nearsighted, and I'm giving it's nearsighted. So, rare fact, rare interesting point about me.
Okay.
We revealed a talent. We revealed a body part that was bent. And we revealed. Come on, Javon.
That's a good one. You always see people wear glasses, but you never know what type of prescription they got.
I wonder if he nearsighted or farsighted.
I feel like the way you said Javon was just such suave in the sense of like, yeah. Hold up. I just realized that Javon, it says on your end that you stopped recording. I don't know what happened, but it said that. Yeah.
That happened last time. I don't know what it was. Do you know what it was, Jason? Where
I'm not
stopped
sure either.
recording, it would, but
Okay,
but it came back in and it was able
Riverside
to.
as well, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel Riverside sometimes it's like it's good, but then it has its moments.
Absolutely. I think Javon is. I am not dealing with the technical side of it at all. I just show up to the room, but Jason, Javon definitely are like they would.
Yeah, I mean, we have conversations and banter about it, but I really am not like that privy to like how it works necessarily over on Riverside. Like it does seem pretty simple, but yeah.
Okay. I think he's coming back in.
Aha! He has returned.
All right, are we good, Javon?
We're good. It might happen again, just
Yeah, we told him
like,
that happened last time.
I'm gonna keep it real.
It's cool.
But my quality gonna be good, and I understand Riverside, so you don't have to worry about me.
Oh no,
my
dude,
track's
I
not
understand
completed.
Riverside too. So don't. I feel you, man. I feel you on that.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
Okay, perfect. Last question for the hot seat segment. What is your personal safe room?
I go first.
Personal safe room.
Yeah. My personal safe room, if I tell you, it wouldn't be a personal nor safe anymore. However, I'm gonna tell you. It would
deal with.
So I would say it's my car.
To be honest, a bunch of people have said that. So I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
That's surprising. I didn't even think of that.
I'ma say my safe room currently is playing fetch with my dog.
all right,
Okay.
that's really nice.
Yeah, like we live next to a park, and it's got a baseball field, and like every morning I take him out there to go use the bathroom and play for like an hour. And since I'm building a playlist, I'll pick one album how long it is, if it's like 45 minutes to an hour, or even an hour and a half, and I'll stay out there listening to the album the entire time while he plays like a crackhead running across the baseball field, because he is ginormous, and I can just kind of like, it feels like a void where just all of like with that noise cancellation, because it's such a big ass field, so I can't hear him barking, I can't hear any of that. I can see him obviously, but like I am totally zoned out and like completely focused on like the music that I'm consuming at that time. So yeah, I would say currently right now I would be like playing fetch with my dog.
I think my safe room is my bedroom, honestly. That's kind of like if there was a physical manifestation of my brain, it would be my bedroom. You know, it's quiet for the most part, and I'm kind of creating it to be a little bit lofty, maybe, but just very much just a center of relaxation, maybe. I don't know. That seems a little bit like predictable, but you know, that's my safe room.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't even say that's even predictable. I feel like a lot of people want to have that center of relaxation with their bedroom within that space. You know, it's kind of like their own zen. It keeps them calm from all the distractions around the world, all the different things that might be bringing their day down. So like I'm trying to do the same thing too. Especially for me being a guy, just like what can you really do to like spruce up your bedroom so it's like, okay, I can like live in that space, but it's not like so saturated with like unnecessary things. So like, you know,
Yeah.
Right.
I got into Lego sets, like the Lego sets recently, like the adult Lego sets, so not just like randomly. But I have a flower set that I just got, and I think that's been a really really cool addition. And I think I invest the most in my bedroom, so to make it exactly how I envision in my head, and also a good place for pictures. But you know.
I'm gonna need this on Instagram. I'm gonna need a whole carousel, as Javon would say for our loyal listeners. That's content.
That
A
is
reel. I'll make a reel. We'll talk offline.
We need a
about
reel.
Yeah.
We need a reel of you putting it together like a hyperlapse.
Yeah,
I love this. The
yeah.
fact that we're here and you guys are still trying to like think of content to promote, that's real.
So for the listeners that don't know, and Sean, you may not know this, we have an ongoing joke since Javon said this in season 1. He said that's content, and we was like, that should be the slogan for the show. And so every time, if there is ever an opportunity, it's always, wait a minute,
don't
that's
cut
something.
that.
That's a there. Write that down.
It's
Write that
something
down.
right there that we need to hold on to, capture.
Let's tease that out.
Let's
a little
workshop
bit.
that. Let's
Workshop that. and
let's
unpack
brainstorm
that.
around
See if we can
that.
make some. See if we can make something into that.
Yeah. Definitely,
Oh, man,
definitely that.
I love it. That might have been the longest time for the hot seat segment ever. I'm being completely
I
honest.
mean, that's good. We breaking records around here,
Right.
and winning
right.
awards. Okay.
I love it. I love it. All right. So let's get into the actual questions. So I did want to talk about your podcast. Let me get my headphones now. For all the listeners who may not know about this podcast, first things first, you guys are sleeping and you need to go check it out because this podcast, 5 stars out of 5 stars. It's top tier. Trust me. And I'm not saying that because I'm the host and I'm supposed to act like a suck up. No, I really mean it. I really enjoy your guys' content and everything. I'm very new to listen to episodes, but like I love how like there's times you guys are not afraid to just like talk because like sometimes your episodes might be like super long and I feel a lot of people just don't gravitate to that. But for me, like I'm here for it. Like you said, like content. More content is good. So I'm definitely a fan of like listening to some of like your recent episodes, trying to catch up and everything. But I did want to talk about just how Let Me Get My Podcast got started. And I want to talk about the relationship that you three have because I don't know if this was like something that was meant to be. Was it something by accident? Was it just a beautiful like tornado that just came out of the bloom? So like I would really love to know whoever's feel comfortable of like answering how did Let Me Get My Headphones podcast first started.
I'm gonna swing this over to our
Right.
Okay.
to our
So
leader.
yeah, to the big L. Well, that's an interesting question you asked there, Sean. But thank you for listening, honestly, to all our listeners that have come over to listen to this episode. Like, it all started from just a thought or just wanting to have a platform and be in some type of media space. Also, as a listener of podcasts, I was traveling up and down the road quite a bit, and I seen just as simple at this one point in my life that there was no podcast that released on like a Thursday. And those were the most interesting days for me because I would have to travel to work and I would listen to the other podcasts that I was listening to at the time on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then like there was nothing on Thursday besides NPR up first, you know. So I was like, I want to create a podcast for something that released on Thursday. And yes, that's simple, but also going back to what Jasmine said, like I have been drafting creativity from all areas of my life, and like I am probably going back in my mind on like old sketch pads of ideas, really bringing together what is Let Me Get My Headphones, and specifically one of them being Melon News. Back in college, I started something called Melon News to highlight black people on our campus, and released a magazine and had people write on it, and that was such a thing, you know. A lot of people gravitated towards it and thought that it had value, and I always wanted to create that again, and I think that podcasts allowed me to do this and very much plug it into my everyday life, and with the help of Jasmine and Jace, like, this couldn't be anything without them. Like, I really depend on them. I make it to where they enjoy it, hopefully. I am very proud of both of them, how we all have grown in this like podcast space, and then also Jace lending his expertise to those times where we were really building up. But our podcast has taken a lot of shapes and forms, and this form that you hear, this form that you see now, is probably the one where we feel the most comfortable, and feel like we are really putting the value where we know the value needs to be. Not just adding space, not just adding content to the world, even if it's funny, even if, like, I do think it's content. There's sometimes, like, if you see the vault, like Jasmine might have seen, or Jay sees when we're planning stuff, like, there's a vault of information that comes behind this, and like it's very much led in a direction that the people get the value, the artists, the independent artists get the value, the managers, the promoters, and as you read on our Instagram or on our Buzzsprout, we are no ordinary podcast group. Let Me Get My Headphones is a podcast that you can kind of see at the intersection of Double XL Magazine, Freshman Class, and late night TV. We are the nexus where artists experience, bravery, and history intersect. Our platform is global, where we supply independent artists of all types who seek to promote their talents with digital solutions. We just believe that artists at all levels matter, and we support them, and we support those that keep the arts alive. So that's a little bit about Let Me Get My Headphones.
I only wanted to add, like, it's just credit to Vaughn. Like, I was making another podcast at the time, and he had no idea I was thinking about going in a different direction, possibly because I was doing interview-based podcasts like this for a book club. Got really, really big, and I was drained. And also, there were so many other things that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to get more into talking about music. I wanted to get more into talking about current events. And back in during the pandemic, Vaughn gave me an opportunity to like come in. He was like, "I know that you've done this," and like telling me like, "I'm really gonna need you here in this moment, like to kind of help me and Jay, because we're entering new territory." I didn't know who Jay was. You know, we became friends on this podcast. That's how we met. And, you know, credit to Vaughn. Me and Vaughn have literally been friends since college. Like, he watched me become an organizer, like, overnight. Like, he watched me step into that, like, you know, battling police violence, advocating for people, voter education, and, like, all of those things. But he saw me still maintain my integrity in who I was. He watched, you know, my podcast go from, you know, just this thing I was doing to like this thing where like all these people are asking these questions, and I'm hosting all of these rooms and interviewing all of these authors. And he's like, "How are you getting in touch with these people? What are you doing?" You know, and I'm just like, "I'm just winging it, man. I'm sending emails." And he really, but when I told him that, he took that to heart. He was like, "All right, send an email. Got you." And like, credit to him, he took that and ran with it. Like, I remember when Melon News happened on campus with us. I remember seeing the copies of it on campus and how important that was. Like we were on a campus of about 16,000 students, and a quarter of that was black, which was insane, you know, for a university that size. And like to be a part of that and to see that there was so much advocacy for black folks amongst each other that were like really being iron that sharpens iron, right? Like Javon would see me like off campus or on campus. I'd be stopping on campus to work with the NAACP chapter there that I helped found, that he remembered that I chartered, and like still pouring back into that organization, even though I'm not a full-time student anymore, even though I don't have no power in that organization, but because of my commitment to that institution and that organization, like even working in the county level, I said, if y'all not talking to the college students, then we don't know what's happening. And so like him seeing that and recognizing that is like, years later, he's like, that's why I called you. And that's why I care for you to be on this podcast. And so like, it was a match made in heaven, like really coming into it. And then like I said, like I didn't know Jasmine from a can of paint when we got on the mic together, but it took just a couple of times for me to be like, you know, this person's cool as shit. And it just kind of went from there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember meeting Jason on Clubhouse, and like immediately, just to speak to what like Javon had said earlier about Jace, like just having the words and just being able to talk himself around a room that's the first thing I noticed. I was like, this guy can create a talking point out of anything. First of all, that's impressive, and like it's impressive. It's just impressive. And so that was my first impression of Jace. But I think, of course, you know, you're offline with a person and you talk to them about just, you know, what's going on in life, and, you know, just to get to know each other at first. And we would FaceTime as a group every now and again, just, you know, chop it up and whatever, as you do as a team. And then slowly but surely it was just me and Jace. And mind you, Jace is in Atlanta. If you listen to the podcast, you know, Jace is in Atlanta. We're all in different states. So I've never even met Jace in person. And so I think that's also just a testament to one of the, you know, skills that Javon has of like just connecting people, bridging people together. And I think that the growth that we've experienced as a group, like just as friends, but not even as in a professional perspective, I think that growth is, I mean, you can hear it. You can hear it in the episodes if you go back. But I think like everything that we talk about offline, when we brainstorm, we all come from we process differently. We process things at different times. So we're always coming from different areas of something. And so I think it was inevitable to grow in the way that we have. And it's been really, really fun also.
Yeah. Even the age range. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I'm the oldest at 32. I'll be 33 this year. But I learn more from Jay than anybody, like half the time. Like Jay will bring notes.
Yep.
And like if y'all listen to the first season, Jay used to catch so much stuff that we said that, like, I used to say stuff that would be good and I just didn't write it down. It would just be off the cuff.
Write that down.
And then at the end of the episode, we'd be like, you know, what notes you got, Jay, before we get out of here? And like, she'd rap off a couple of quotes, and I was like, I said that. Yeah, and that was one thing that like really showed me, one, that she was an intentional listener. And that's really, really important when you have a co-host, is having a person who's actively and intentionally listening to like what you're saying.
Especially when we're not in the same room.
Yeah, especially when we're not in the same room, and then also calling it back to you to remind you that, yo, you said that and that shit was good. Like,
and I thought it was good, you know, like,
and I thought it was good. Yeah. So, and I value her opinion a lot, like when that matters to me. So yeah, like I still think one of our favorite episodes is sadly it was the one where Javon wasn't there, but you know, it was a testament to how good of a team that we were, because me and Jay got on that mic and we acted like, you know, we was Shaq and Kobe. We was LeBron and Wade. You know what I'm saying? It was too easy.
Yeah. And for that episode he's talking about is Juneteenth Awards. Y'all went crazy. Yeah. I was out the country and they held it down. Had and everything we came up with set that like in a week. And everything. Put it all online for me to grab it in the morning in the other country and for me to edit it over there. And it was crazy. I was just like, damn, I love them. Like, I can step away and do my real thing, and then they come back and produce this excellent episode. I was just so happy to cut that episode and didn't even feel a way besides just like pure enjoyment. And I knew that like when I was cutting it, whoever was going to listen to it was going to enjoy it. And it's one of our best episodes. Highly downloaded. Go download it some more so it's even higher.
Right.
Guys, for all the listeners, this is the first question.
You know, and I was gonna say, you are looking like I have never had nobody talk this much. We gotta.
You gonna have some work in post. I promise you that.
He said, y'all don't make these questions one sentence. God damn it!
I am a talker. I am not mad. I was listening to everything, and I was just so blown away just hearing every single one of you speak. And like, I just want to chime in. I don't think what you guys hear, it's not a friendship. It's a family. Like, there's actual love. There's actual compassion and want to like make what you guys have, your platform, Let Me Get My Headphones, better. Like, I love to see that because like it makes you show that like if you put your mind to it and there's a goal that you want to achieve and you have a amazing crew with you, there's nothing that could like stop you. Even if there's going to be like hiccups, ups and downs, there's always going to be something to look forward to because you always have that mentality to actually just build it and want to see it better. You know, you guys were mentioning that this is the best that this platform, Let Me Get My Headphones, has ever looked. But I know also in the back of your mind, you're probably thinking like, yo, we can make it 10 times even better. Like, we're about to.
Oh,
absolutely.
You had
absolutely.
Yeah, what you just said.
Do not make me be a Virgo on this episode.
Right.
Please
do
don't.
not make me get the archer out and tell you how precise this finna get, okay?
Because the devil's in the details.
Okay.
No, but for real.
And that's what we with it.
I do mean it because, again, these are the types of conversations I really love to see when, like, I ask someone or a group of people, like, what do they do? And they can just go such into detail that it feels like they're not just answering a question just to answer a question, but it feels like they're just sharing it with themselves or with their friends as if, you know, it's authentic. It's off the bat. You weren't forced to answer it. Like, that is what I took away from hearing everything like that. That was just so beautiful to hear. And I'm really glad that the three of you have the relationship in terms of like making this platform, making your podcast. Like, I'm trying to still look for someone, just one person to help me with myself. Everything I do, it's me. It's just me. So like,
I know. Keep grinding.
And that's why I got out of that business, champ. That's why I'm in a 360 deal. I am not in a 360 deal, ladies and gentlemen. But I'd rather be with three folks than with one. Because when it's solo dolo, Sean, let me tell you something. I know that pain inside and out. It really takes, I don't think people really understand. And that's why I have such a respect for podcasters in general, whether you're doing it by yourself, whether you're doing it as a group, especially if you're doing it independently. It's not that it just costs, it's labor. Like, it really is. Like, that's why we really big up, like, I know the listeners hear us bigging up Vaughn, but Vaughn is our producer. And, like, I produced my own podcast for, like, 4 or 5 years. Javon has asked me for help with editing the podcast once. We've been recording for 3 years. I know if he ever needed me to help, he would ask me in a second. The fact that he has only asked me one time, and it was only about, yo, what interface do you use? Are you using GarageBand? Are you using this? And that was it. And that was the only question. And then as soon as I answered that question, that's all he needed. And like, that is a testament to how dedicated he is to his craft and how passionate he is about making this a great podcast. But also, if you are podcasting right now and you thinking that it's hard, does it get easier when the work can be spread around? Absolutely. But the commitment still has to be there to produce the product. And that's what matters. Like, you don't get lazier because you got more people. You keep the same drive. You just spread the work around so it's easier for everybody. It's not to make it like, look, Javon can edit this podcast the way that he does so badass is because we all do our job, which makes his job easier. Not we're putting all that responsibility on him.
Say that word now. Come on now. But it is a team. Like, I have done, like, creative things take a team. Like, that is just what I have realized. And when you have that good team, pour into them. That's what I do. Every time they give me an idea, every time they give me an idea, I'm workshopping and finding a way to put it into the rhythm of the stuff that I might be having in my mind, or just being the person that just be like, you have the free reign to do that. So not trying to block everything up or anything like that, but letting everybody create. Like, and I think that is, I mean, internally, that's probably one of our values, is just like create, like, and just create from the soul. Because we love this. Like, there's no reason why we would be doing this. Like, there's no other reason why we can do this besides the currency of just
wanting to.
Yes, and wanting to, and just like wanting and being able to go around the mission and being okay with the mission changing over time and finding that voice and being open to, like, that the times where it doesn't feel like people are listening or you understand your role, but once you define those roles, going into them. And I couldn't do this, I promise you. Like, even just little things, like just being able to have a group chat to where I can just dump an idea in that I know is gonna tell everybody in the group message, send question marks. Sometimes I just type stuff in the group message and they be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, like, what the hell are you talking about? You know? And I'll be like, it's okay. It'll come back
right
up.
And we'll leave it on red and
yeah, we'll come back to it. It happens.
You know? So it's like that. Those things that you can't even, like, quantify as, like, being those things that you really need. But once you find that team, run with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, perfect. I want to go on to the next question.
You better.
And this one is kind of more of the, like, some of your personal careers outside the podcast, because you guys gave a very detailed, story. I want to say story because, like, it felt like I was watching a movie, hearing the responses you guys were saying. Like, it felt it was actually hitting me so hard. So again, I really appreciate you guys opening up so much about the journey for Let Me Get My Headphones podcast. But I do want to talk about, some of your personal stuff. Like, if you guys are working, like, what do you guys do from there? Because, again, maybe there are some individuals who know about the three of you in terms of the podcast, but maybe there's some individual that may not know about the three of you separately. Like you said, you guys come from different locations, so it's not like all you reside in one space, where some of your audience could probably, know exactly what you guys do. So whoever's comfortable, anyone wants to share just like what they do personally outside the podcast, any work related things.
What we going, rock, paper, scissors?
I'll start. I can start
Okay,
it. I can
go ahead.
start. My career could not be more different than than the podcast. I work logistics. I am in Excel every day. I'm on Outlook, skating in Outlook every, Monday through Friday. And I have a background in communications, so I mean that makes sense, but I think I have to tie the two together because they could not be more different, but I have to, for the sake of my own sanity and just to, like, I don't know, grow. I have to make a connection somewhere and at least try to cultivate skills that I can use in both of these fields. So having the communications I graduated with the communication studies background in college and went immediately into logistics. And off the bat, I was dealing with people that were much, much older than me, like had different, like, crazy perspectives that just I would never align with, even on my worst day. And for one, you have to, being, not to really take it there, but like, being a Black woman, I felt like I had to carry myself in a particular kind of way in order to be taken seriously and so on and so forth. There's an entirely different conversation to be had about that. But I think coming into a space where, like the podcasting world, that I had really no prior knowledge of. I had no idea it was this vast. And there were so many different avenues and so many different just genres of it. And we just started interviewing people in season 2, but coming into contact with like people who are doing things that are like, they're just creating things, and they're coming from so many different walks of life. I mean, we've had creative directors for magazines. We've had people who are in environmentalism. I mean, people who are talking about health and well-being and women's rights and all different kinds of things. So I think that for one, being able to, in my work, my actual work, I have to be able to talk and communicate with people in a way that is not only is like, I have to maintain care of myself and make sure that, you know, like, everything is respectful and so on and so forth, but like, I mean, tending care to the receiver, like whoever it is I'm speaking to, like, so, and when you have all these different people on the podcast, of course, I'm not privy to all of the language that's used in all of these industries, and so it's at that point, it's kind of a matter of being able to adapt and really not even meet people where they are, but just like be willing to take myself out of a space that I'm just not accustomed to. And I think that in working in both of these environments, because the job that I have to keep the lights on. I'm grateful for it through and through. It's really not ideal, but you got to make it work. You got to make it work. And I think it's just been a learning experience for all of it. And it's been like, I think I wouldn't be able to truly be my authentic self at work in my career if I didn't have this podcast as well. Because Jason and Javon pushed me in a way that I hadn't before, that I wouldn't be pushed if I was not on this podcast. And so also just aging and being, you know, getting older, you're a little bit more comfortable in your own skin. But I think just coming into contact with so many different people has been really, really a gift that I've been able to use in life and just in my regular day-to-day job and optimize it to the best of my ability.
Wow.
I will go next. That was
you
wow.
ate. Not too much.
I will keep it very
Right. I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding.
I'll keep it real brief. I'm a political strategist as well as a voting rights expert. I've worked on several campaigns, including but not limited to Senator Warnock, currently, you know, the newly reelected senator here in the state of Georgia, President Joe Biden, as well as shout out to the 334 Mayor Stephen Reed, one of my first major campaigns. But I've really been in organizing spaces. I can, like I mentioned in previous conversation about my on-campus advocacy. I was my campus's first NAACP president, and when we hit the ground running, Javon was there. We really hit the ground running. We addressed, this was the same year that Mike Brown was unfortunately murdered by the police, and so it was a very tense time, not only just across the nation, but on college campuses as well, where police violence took place. And just those intersections of conversations. Also, fun fact, I was working on the radio at the time. Right before I started working in that space, in organizing spaces, and I used my show to amplify the voices of people on campus, particularly people of color and Black or minority organizations, so they could let people know on campus what they were doing, the positive things that they were doing on and off campus. Shout out to the Prowl. I miss the Prowl. But I think what is cool, like being in the organizing space, being in the political space, is that I get a little mix of everything. You know, one thing I always tell folks that aren't into politics, I'm like, if you don't get into politics already in usis, because it's a part of your everyday life. Like, we've been complaining about these Beyonce sale tickets, but literally Ticketmaster is sitting on Capitol Hill right now getting ice grilled by Congress because they like, what the hell is going on? We're watching you, and you bet not mess this up because we know how them people feel about their Beyonce tickets. Right? And so, like, knowing that I can take what I, like, the work that I did is what led me to really creating my first podcast, right? And that's centered around African American literature because I worked in an organizing space. I read a lot of books by Stokely Carmichael, by Fannie Lou Hamer, by Martin Luther King, MLK, James Brown, Rosa Parks. I could literally go down the line of any Medgar Evers, of any civil rights activist, that is worth their salt and could tell you like so many fun facts. But also the one thing I realized was, and this is something I talk to often with other organizers about, is that when you commit yourself to working in spaces for marginalized people, you often don't know how to shut that shit off, for lack of better words. Hate to cuss again, but I didn't have a lot of spaces, and 2020 really taught me this. Like, we were all stuck inside in the pandemic and all kind of like working from home, and I was like running a whole political statewide GOTV campaign in the state of Alabama that was completely virtual while on the other side working, for the coordinated campaign of the Democratic Party. And I felt so much burnout because I was committing so much of myself and I didn't have a space where I could really vent and talk about it. And then I also realized in my prior podcast, is that I was still talking around that stuff because a lot of the books that I was reading were centered around those things. So it was really traumatic. But that's how it kind of got me here. So I'm able now to like talk about all of those things and also give myself an out, where when I come on this mic, we don't talk about none of that unless it affects something that affects the daily conversations that we have. When the whistleblower showed up on Twitter, we literally hit the emergency button, said, we need to talk about the whistleblowers. You know what I'm saying? When the anti-Semitism started with Kanye West and Kyrie Irving, we hit the emergency button and Javon said, you know what, Jay, I need you to unpack all of that and pass the aux cord. Like, let's just unpack.
And then I'm going to end it right after that.
And then we're going to end it right after that. And so, like, I love that Javon saw that in me, and he saw the value in the work that I do. And what I love is that I was able to translate a little bit of what I do into what I do on this mic, because all the compassion that I have for marginalized folks and all those people is still there. And it's in the way that I talk about what we advocate for. I'm still uplifting people to amplify their voices, as Javon talked to. And this time it's independent artists, like giving them that platform to talk about that music is super important. And so like being able to like do the same thing that I was doing in college and in a new way was super cool. And so I think that's how, that's my personal life and my work.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it sweet. I am in operations. Of course, I work in the climate space, so I help to stop the expansion of oil and gas around the world. Also, stop deforestation when it comes to corporate campaigning. Got my start in cut my teeth on politics, similar to Jace, and have kind of like worked hard. And I use, since politics and all of these advocacy spaces are very much focused on a specific issue, it allows me to work those issues out there. And when I get on the podcast, I'm able to work out that creative itch that I always have, that may not be used at work or may be used at work in a different way, whether it's operations. Like I said, I can run operations from my desk in DC all the way across the world in Japan, like it's nothing. And that's just because I'm trained, but also I really enjoy impact and getting the job done. So,
all right, yeah, that's perfect. All three of you, just first of all, round of applause, because you guys are doing some amazing things.
Round of applause.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's good to see that, in some sort, when you guys were explaining whatever, like, work you're doing right now, there's like some connection to the podcast as well, because I feel like, I have the same sentiments. Like for me, I like work within the community. I'm an outreach coordinator that basically tries to promote ethical research for any academic researcher that wants to come in and do research. A lot of the times there are people who do surveys, projects, and then when they leave, they never follow up with community members. So the whole point of what we're trying to do is to, prevent any harmful research from coming into the community, but also how do we make sure that research that is being done is in the hands of the community? How can they have a say on where that research is being disseminated, where it's being stored, who is actually at the tables talking about these conversations? So that's kind of what I do right now. And I feel what I do in terms of outreach, it's a lot of communications, like you mentioned, Jasmine, before. They just talking to people, being a liaison to different stakeholders or to different community groups. That's something I try to, get into more with my podcast. I like to connect with people and, just have open conversations, facilitate that open space, because I feel a lot of times we have such talents or such skill sets that aren't really shared as much. And I feel you want to at least give that platform to showcase, all the successes, all the accomplishments, just like the three of you. I feel like this is what this episode's about, highlighting your guys' success, everything you guys have done up to this point. And again, I want people who are listening to see that, hey, if these three can do it, maybe this can give me the motivation to, get started, get right on track of what I want to do. That's the type of, platform I want to offer to my listeners, not to just be like, hey, it's goofy episodes all the time. Like, nah, like at first I was doing goofy episodes because I had no direction, but now I do have a direction. And the whole point of it is to build this networking pool in a sense where people can, meet other individuals. Like guests can meet other guests and they can collaborate on projects separate. And the reason why is because I was on Sean's podcast, The Safe Room, which has actually happened a couple of times. So when I see stuff like that, it makes me so happy. Because, like, I feel like that's something where I'm not just speaking to a mic and I feel like I'm just saying a bunch of bullshit. No, it actually means something to a lot of individuals. So that's something that I try to do, and I'm really glad, again, you guys have found something within your personal careers that it kind of ties back into the whole podcast scheme. So that kind of moves into my next question. So, again, as of being a podcast in the United States, so for me, like, I'm in Canada. The podcasting in Canada is... I wouldn't say it's super hectic, but like we're trying to build up. We're trying to build up, get that credibility and everything, because a lot of people.
I'm seeing a lot of y'all, man.
Really?
Like, I see it. Like, me and Jay are TikTok fanatics, and I don't know what her algorithm looks like, but I get a lot of podcasts on my algorithm, and I'm starting to see like a lot of UK and Canadian podcasters as well. Y'all be doing your thing.
Okay. So with that, like, who specifically? Because maybe if you list some names, I might.
He said who specifically.
Now you're trying to make me shout somebody out, and you're gonna embarrass me. I'm gonna have to scroll through my phone and find a TikTok page.
You don't need that, Sean. You don't need that.
You about to embarrass me. About to embarrass all three of us. Don't do that, Sean.
Journalism.
Right. Get to the bottom of it. Right.
Yeah.
But for real, again, being a successful podcast in the United States, I just want to ask about the landscape in the U.S. Like, just how is it? Do you feel like it's growing every single day? Do you feel like there has been an enormous trend for a lot of people to start a podcast in the United States? Do you feel a lot of people are actually respecting the practice of podcasting? Because like you guys mentioned before, it is not easy. It takes a lot of cost and labors. And like I always have this saying, if you're able to get past 10 episodes, you at least, that's a start. That's a start. But I'm not saying like you're officially like a podcast, because a lot of people don't even make it past 10 episodes because they don't realize that.
I mean, you're on your way to 100.
I'm getting close.
Yeah, you're on your way to 100. So, I mean, that's a testament to your work, too, and how important podcasting is. I do say, like, podcasting in America or United States is, it's changing. It's many horizons to it that is coming, and often, like, unless you have a vision, unless you know exactly what you're looking at, and I think it takes time. I'm not saying that like we started with this. Again, if you listen to some of our older episodes, you would see that we were in a different category, and now we're in very much what the title is. more into the music side or solely into the music side. But once you find your niche or like what you are wanting the end product to be, you will be fine, and you could navigate those waters of the multiple changes that happen in the podcast industry here. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I think after a while, it kind of creates itself also, because like it's trial and error. A lot of the times you try things and it doesn't work, and especially if you're working with a team of people, you try things as a team, it doesn't work or it doesn't stick. Organically, it'll change into something that you probably never even expected, and for the better too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tell people a lot. People used to ask me for advice on podcasts, and I'm like, what do you think I know? Like, I mean, it's just like you. I've been doing this shit for like a couple of years. A lot of it is throwing stuff on the wall and seeing what sticks a lot of times. I'll give a good example. We originally didn't do Past the Aux Chord playlist when we started. We didn't. That was an idea I brought to Javon, and I said, hey, I want to do a playlist because we're talking about music, and there's a lot of new music coming out. Let's talk about it. But like also, let's put it in playlist format so that our listeners can actually listen to what we listen to. Javon said, let's tease that out. Let's open that up and see what we think about that. And what it was one, it gave us a chance as co-hosts to one, get to know each other even on another level, and that's about music taste, right? Jay has become our unofficial, official, I put you on.
Bigly.
In the group chat.
Bigly.
It's clearly me, but I let her cook. I let her cook because she do be dropping gems. But what I'm getting at this is I think in America, a lot of folks won't launch a lot of podcasts because they're so failure to comparison. Everybody's trying to make the Breakfast Club or the Read, or I can just name a bunch. I love the Bomani Jones show, like one of the best shows on ESPN. I listen to it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like every single day. You know what I'm saying? And I listen to him all the time because he's one of the smartest men I've ever heard. And I'm listening to him attentively because I just like I listen to all other podcasts, but I'm not trying to recreate his show because he doesn't have anybody else on his show. It's just him, one man by himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see it as like, I don't try to, and Javon has even said this before, we don't really try to worry about what other people are doing. Like, we just try to do what we do. Like, so many times, and especially in the Black podcasting space, so many people focus on dating, relationship advice, toxic relationships, talking about men, talking about women, asking about $500 dates, and like all this other dumb shit. And the one thing I tell people about podcasting is you can make a show about anything. And when people say that they're trying to make a show about anything and they end up in that same realm, one thing that I appreciate about us is that we stuck to our guns. And when we evolved with intention that made the show better. When we pivoted or we shifted to another position, it was because this is something that we're seeing that based on what our listenership is, based on the research and the data Javon is bringing us, not just based on how we feel about something. He's given us all nuanced data and figures that say, this is why we should be moving in this direction. And I think for us, that works so much as a team instead of just getting on a mic and just saying, okay, we're going to bullshit today. Like, this is so structured. And that's not to say that, like, all of these, I'm not trying to shit on nobody podcast and say that they're not structured, because your creative process is your creative process. And what works for you, right? Because you might put out the best shit every single week and you might, hit the bong real quick before you up on the mic and just wing it. And just, I saw this on the TV today and I'm just going to talk about it, right? Some people get millions of downloads just doing that, right? So it works for who it works for. But I think for us, it's just like, yeah, we can admire the podcasts that we listen to, the NPRs, the Bomani Jones, the Reads, all of those. But I still listen to old, what's his name? He started Loudspeakers Network. We were talking about him. Combat Jack. I still listen to old Combat Jack shows, and he's been dead and gone for several years now. but that's because like I want to be a better interviewer, right? And so I'm listening to those. So when I'm listening to other podcasts, I'm listening to podcasts I love so that I can sharpen my own mind and like I can take a piece of a style that they're using. Like how were they able to get that person to talk about something that they've never shared on the mic before? And so that's what I'm thinking about intentively when we bring independent artists on. Like, tell me a story about your creative process, right? Of how you wrote that song. Like, were you really down bad? Like, did somebody take your girl when you wrote that, or was that was your homie helping you write that?
Or
like,
what does the studio look like?
What did the studio look like? You know, what was the vibe that day? Who was there? Like, those type of questions is how we get those really great interviews and those great moments on Let Me Get My Headphones. And so I think that is what I think of like the U.S. landscape, or how I try to consume it as also a content creator within the podcasting space.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I remember when I started, it's like a man like me was talking about the whole COVID case and everything. Like, I had no direction. I was just like, I'm bored. Let me just talk about COVID and just see, like, well, who wants to listen to it? Like, because, like, when I originally started it, I was like, I had no direction. I had some podcasting experience because I did a podcast for a student club during my time at university, but like that was very short-lived. And then I said, you know what? I had fun doing it because like, at the time being, I was in my first year of university. I didn't know what I wanted to do in my like career. I had no thing. I did everything in terms of like high school and university, like extracurricular, but I had no idea what I wanted to be as like my main thing. So then I just started dropping episodes, and I just thought, all right, this is probably gonna be like for like 3 weeks, best, like at tops. And then like when people were actually reaching out to me and said like, yo, Sean, like these conversations are like really good. Like you're such a great speaker and everything. I'm just like, yo, stop bullshit. Like, look, you don't have to boost my ego, but like you can be real for real. But it's like, nah, man, like you really have something special. And I think it wasn't until like maybe 2021 I started to focus on, you know what? I want to give like a special stage to like podcasters, artists, creatives, entrepreneurs in the community within the GTA, and like just talk about, you know, what are you doing? What has made you, you know, build upon your platform, and how can I give you a space to, you know, showcase your success, your accomplishments? Because I always feel like everyone's trying to get a seat at the table, and it's like we have to fight for that one seat. All I'm saying is, like, let's expand the table, or let's make multiple tables. Why does that have to just be one specific table? Like, I don't understand. You can have multiple tables.
Let's break the table. I'm all about breaking the table.
And rebuilding a house.
Yeah, like, you can't, I hate to get into the activist bag, but you can't rebuild the house with the oppressor's tools. I know it's Black History Month.
Right.
It is.
But no, I really believe in breaking the table, man. Like,
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day. I mean, I tell folks for real, and this is just real spill, it's like, when I say people make podcasts about anything, there are people who get up in the morning and just talk about walking their dog. Like, go walk their dog and then come back and like literally just record a podcast about it. Like, people do anything on podcasts. So that's what I mean by breaking the table. Like, you do not have to adhere to like the standards of what these typical podcasts that you know are really popular. You never know what is going to be popular until you put it out. You would be surprised at people who are going to listen to something.
Yeah.
Right? Until you actually start making it. There is a community for everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, oh man.
I mean, we can talk music. You know we love to talk music.
Speaking of music, I know the Grammys were last week. I don't know if you guys got the chance to see the Grammys, but like if you did, I would love to hear like your perspective on that.
Beautiful gowns, wonderful gowns. Lizzo really brought shout out to Lizzo for having the church choir. That was really dope. That was one of my favorite performances.
Special.
Yeah, special was, I did like, for a person, Jay will always advocate that I was the one who was riding with Lizzo when Special came out last year, because I said, this is like the most positive shit I've heard in my entire life, and I don't mean that in a condescending way.
It's good positivity.
But it's really good positivity, and I always tell people, please go back and watch her speech when she accepted her award, especially when she talks about Prince and like how close she was with him. Like, he wanted to executive produce her first album. and he never got the chance to because he passed, and that's part of the reason why she makes such positive music now. That's kind of the inspiration around that. And I was just happy for everybody all around. Of course, Beyonce breaks the record. I know we can talk all day about the institution being corrupt. I'm not mad at Harry Styles. I'm mad that there are voters openly saying that they don't vote for Beyonce or Adele because they already got too many awards. That means that your institution is corrupt. And you probably need to fix that. But, I mean, as far as performances go, I mean, it was still a stellar night. Like, I still give it all the credit in the world. And we got to witness history. So, and I think that's really, really cool. Like, I still hold space for that moment because you're not going to see anything like it. And I think that we can hold that moment in one hand, right? And we can also critique the institution in the other simultaneously. And realize that it needs work, and they're trying, right? It's not like they're not trying. They've tried over the years, but there's just still more work to do, and that's okay, right? Oh yeah, that hip hop thing. Yeah, I can talk about that. That was the one thing I was really kind of, but they said it's going to be longer in the year, but I who cares if the Grammys was tonight? We only watch the Grammys one night of the year. We don't care about what y'all do later on during the year. Or whatever, but I'll just say I'm excited for the BET Awards this year.
Yeah, definitely. I did want to ask you guys, did you guys have like a favorite album for 2022?
Ooh.
Because like it was literally yesterday. I was on IG Live sharing like my top 25 albums of 2022. It was just more of like a personal preference. I did the same for like my songs and everything. And for me, my favorite album was The Forever Story by JID. Like that album was so good.
You picked an easy one.
Yeah,
you picked the easy way out. Yeah. 2022, I'm actually looking at my iTunes now, and I would have The Forever Story, but I also want to include Smino's album. Yeah, Love for Rent was absolutely beautiful. Yeah. I loved Lizzo's special, Gemini Rights by Steve Lacy.
Don't take them all.
I mean, I'm going to stop right there because there were a bunch.
Right.
Like, there were really a bunch.
Right. I love Ombre. And Justin Conrad. So I think 3,000 Degrees by Ombre is probably one of my favorites. And, of course, SOS. That's still, like... repeat,
that
like
shit gonna
crazy.
Run forever.
So
that shit gonna run forever.
Yeah.
I was actually telling them offline that if there's the next album that you're gonna see get just a stupid amount of Grammy nominations, it's gonna be SOS.
Got to.
Like it's gonna have at least 11. Like, and I'm not even joking when I say that. Like, because the way that they stretched Control, the way the TDEs, they said that candle is gonna keep burning.
We're gonna put some more wax on that hole for it to keep burning.
Until y'all put a wick on it. You know what I'm saying? And I feel for this album because it's so long, and because it attacks so many genres. Right? It's got a rock song on there. It's got pop. It's got R&B. It's got hip hop. It's going to influence the pop and R&B girlies for a really, really long time with what she did. I know there's a bunch of songs on it that we had already heard. Obviously at the end, like Shirt and all those others that were just singles. But that overall project it's going to set the standard.
Yeah. I do think it's a little too long. 23 songs, I mean...
smidge.
It's a smidge long, but I definitely agree on that. And like outside of like GID, The Forever Story for me as well, there's Denzel Curry, Melt My Eyes, See Your Future.
Oh, that's a good one. And I was mad it got snubbed too.
Yeah, that's another good one. There's the Raven Lenae album, Hypnose. I enjoyed that.
This guy has taste.
Nah, those are slappers, man. Those are slappers, man. But yeah, definitely. Like, I felt like music in 2022 was like super stacked.
Yeah, very much.
I feel like it was one sad, but we also saw this.
I think he said stack. Did you say stack?
Renaissance. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about Renaissance in 2022. I mean, obviously that's a given.
I wanted to ask about that. What is your personal take on Renaissance?
I love it.
It's stellar. It's a stellar body of work.
Okay, I guess I'm in the minority then, because
Ooh, we got some dissent.
Yeah. Like, no, like, it's not like I hate the album. I guess it's just like, I don't know, just listening from top to bottom, it's just like, all right, it was cool. It's just like, maybe I had like high expectations of like getting like that full R&B of Beyonce from track 1 to the very end. Like, there was still like R&B sounds of it, like Plastic Off the Sofa was like really good and everything, but I just thought like, like it's good, but it's like, I'm not like, oh my god, it's like crazy, if you know what I mean. But again, that's just me. That's
yeah,
just me.
you better just have that opinion.
I was gonna say,
I know
like,
a lot of folks that are gonna war for that one. I might be in the line. Now.
I'm ready
I
for
go toe to toe on
Beehive
that.
versus the president. Come here, let's go.
I mean, like, I don't think that people saying that the album isn't for them doesn't mean it's a bad album. And I try to remind folks, like, two things can exist at the same time. The album cannot be for you, right? A lot of people were, even though The Weeknd was telling us in January of 2022 that we were going to dance when he dropped Dawn FM. And I think that we didn't see in 2022 when we were thinking, because you were just saying a lot of music was sad. What I was going to add to, I said a lot of music was dancing. Like, it was kind of hard.
Yeah, I said stacked.
We had stacked.
Yeah.
Like, there was a stacked list of like releases and everything in 2022.
Not sad.
Yeah, like it was
not sad.
Yeah, and it was so many. Yeah, exactly. It was such a stacked releases from the pandemic, and so they let all of this music go, and people were like going back to the clubs. I remember we were talking about on the podcast about how in the 2010s, the BPM of music actually got really high. Like, the pace got faster, and a lot of things like this started to sound more house. Like, we just watched Rihanna the other night, and her singing, you know, Where Have You Been All My Life? That is like a pop house like anthem. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think about all the music that she released in those 2010s. If she released it right now in 2022 during that time, you would have thought it sounded a lot like the house music that we heard from Kaytranada, from on Dawn FM with The Weeknd. With Raven Lenae, even on her album, it had some house inspirations. And of course with Beyonce and Drake, of course, as well, like dropping, you know, Honestly Nevermind, like seeing this embracing of like this very Black queer inspired genre, like seeing so many people get a taste, get their whack at it. Right? Like even IDK like dropping that collab with Kaytranada, which was one of my favorite EPs of like the whole year, because Kaytranada is my favorite producer. Like, shout out to Canada. I don't know how like that man just came from that country, but he is amazing. But like, it really she said we're gonna get up and dance. And I think the one thing I loved about it is that I never stopped grooving until it was over. And then the only thing I wanted to do was spin it back like a Beyblade. I was like, we got to run that thing back one more time. And you had to let it rip. Like, I remember the episode that we dropped, because I said, we don't got no playlist. The playlist is go listen to Beyonce. That's what it is.
It's a clip on the Instagram. Scroll down.
It's also just the best.
Go listen to the album.
It's just the best she sounded too. So
wow. Nah, I definitely agree. Again, like, you know, I think everyone has like their different tastes and everything. I think that's the beauty of it. You know, some people you may hear that they liked a certain album, others they probably didn't. But I think just having those conversations is like really good, because you get to hear what people have to say. Obviously, you don't want to hear nothing stupid, because I'm not gonna lie, there's gonna be people saying that some stupid shit like, "Oh, it was garbage," and that's where it's like, "All right, get out,
right?"
Get out.
I tell people often, Sean, I hate the word mid being used to describe something. Something that I bring up, there's a really good interview of Tyler, the Creator, during Fashion Week in Paris. And they ask him, like, what is the state of hip hop and like all of these other things? And what's one thing that you wish you could change in the culture? And he was like, I hate questions like this, but if I had to answer it, he was like, I wish that people would stop calling things mid, or just automatically calling something great after you heard it one time. What he wants is that he wants people to start critically analyzing their takes and like their opinions about the music that they're consuming, because these artists spend months to years working on this music, right? And just for you to listen to it one time, not really experience it and just say, oh, it's mid, because you can't really articulate your point because you haven't really sat with media critical analysis before. And you don't have to have a degree to do that. It just means you got to stop and start to, maybe unpack something. And because listen, here's a little secret. Me and Javon loved the Harry Styles album. That shit was a bop. It was a heater. Yeah. It was really good. Was it better than Renaissance? No. But was it good? Absolutely. Right? But and I even told Vaughn, I went into it not expecting it. Like, y'all remember when I said it in the text message, I said, damn, I hit play on Harry Styles album and this shit kind of slapping. And then all of a sudden, Javon hit it too. He was like, wait a minute, I got some stuff to add to the workout playlist. And like what I'm saying in just that example is you have to like give, like, especially for these artists that are really putting all of their craft and their creativity into it, the least that you can do is fully consume the album, not half of it, and then like sit down with it and say, okay, if I don't like this, let me be able to articulate my point as to why this isn't for me. Or if I love it, let me be able to articulate this point, right? That's what I really mean in that.
Yeah, I definitely feel you, man. I definitely feel you. But I think that's everything we covered. So I just want to say again to the three of you, thank you, because you probably did something that I don't think most guests have ever done. You kept me quiet for about like 70% of the conversation. I'm not even mad about it.
We rarely get a chance to ever be guests.
Right.
Yeah. We're always the interviewers. We're never the interviewers.
Welcome to the club. I've only been on 2 podcasts ever. Only 2. So I feel you on that sentiment. But again, thank you to the 3 of you for coming on. You guys were, like, I can't even describe it. We're fantastic, phenomenal, remarkable. There's so much. I truly mean it. You actually guys gave me a break from speaking, because like I said, I just had a recording with someone, and like it was really good. But I was like, damn, I'm about to lose my voice after this one. But you guys saved me. You guys saved me from that.
Yeah, we did.
Man, this was really good. We really appreciate it. We international. As interviewees, we broke our team interviewee cherry. You know what I'm saying? Like we've officially all been interviewed as a group together. Was that problematic? Can we say
it's provocative? It's
provocative. It gets the people going.
But this has been humbling though, and I like the recognition. It feels good. So thank you so much, Sean, for recognizing us and bringing us into this safe room. It really has been a pleasure. For sure.
Of course. Where can everyone find you on social media?
Oh, on social media, of course, let me get my headphones on IG, but my personal IG is Jayalonz. That's Jayalonz.
Okay, perfect. If you guys want to jump in and add your plugs, go ahead.
Oh, super easy. Jace in place. That's JACEINPLACE on IG. Also, of course, she already shouted out the podcast if she hasn't, but if you guys love what you hear, and you want to talk to us, we got a Discord channel. Hit the link in our bio when you guys go to that Instagram and come join us on the Discord. We have so many different channels. If you are an artist in particular and you want us to listen to your music, there are some submission blocks in there where you can drop your SoundCloud links, you can drop your Bandcamp links, and we will give it a listen and we will bring you on. We just brought our first independent artist, Quest the Artist, on to actually talk about his music. Leg Shaking is a bop. A bop. It is a bedroom boom. And I would definitely tell you guys to go check that out in the show notes of our last episode. But yeah, please join the Discord. You do not have to be an artist to join the Discord. If you just want to kick it with us, we got voice channels. You can come watch movies with us. You can come play games with us. We really want to build a community that doesn't just listen to our podcast, but like kicks it with us. Like we kick it. That's why we originally named it the group chat. Because we want people when they come to our show to feel comfortable, and we want our audience to feel comfortable and be able to be themselves. So yeah, give me a follow on IG, but most importantly, join the Discord if you really want to kick it with us and talk to us. I be in there kicking it. We got good music in there. And of course, go check out the playlist. Like we're on Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, SoundCloud, and YouTube Music. You can find them by searching Let Me Get My Headphones Volume. We run all the way up to 19, and we will have Volume 20 coming out soon.
All right.
Yes. As my fellow co-hosts have said, thank you so much, Sean. And this has been a great, almost like a team builder for us. Like, I feel like we ready to go back to another little round or something. So, might catch us on Instagram Live or something. I didn't run that by
Did we talk to production?
We didn't talk about that production. We didn't talk to production.
They ain't clear it yet.
I don't know if they cleared it, so it might not happen. But anyways, again, you can find us on Instagram. Let me get my headphones. Twitter, LMGMHP. Thank you. LMGMHP. That's what he would say back in the day. And TikTok, we're there too. Not as much, but we do lean heavy more onto Instagram side. And that is Let Me Get My Headphones. I can be reached at my last name, Averett Javon. Such a plug.
Wow.
Right.
So it's on private anyway. Right. Anyways, but
we love digital boundaries.
We definitely do. But yeah, it has been a pleasure. That's where you can reach us in. We are dropping episodes. Our next episode will come out next Thursday. That is February 23rd. So if you're listening to this, just know, Let Me Get My Headphones, February 23rd, all digital streaming platforms.
Okay, perfect. Thank you to the three of you. Thank you for everyone listening to The Safe Room. You can follow me on Instagram at The Safe Room Official. You got me on TikTok, The Safe Room Pod. No, that's Twitter. Oh my gosh, see, the fatigue is kicking in, ladies and gentlemen. On TikTok, it's TSR Podcast. Twitter is The Safe Room Pod, and I'm also doing YouTube Shorts. Just type in The Safe Room Podcast, and you'll find me. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. Go check out our website, thesaferoompodcast.com. If you want to subscribe to our newsletter, we'll be dropping our January newsletter very, very soon. If you want to be a guest, you can fill out our form on our website. And also, again, I'll be saying this till the wheels fall off. If you want to hear the intro and the outro track to this episode, it's by yours truly, by me. It's called First Lady. If you want to go listen to it on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube.
Okay.
Cue the horns. Bum, 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 bum.
I hear you, boy. I hear you now.
Not you making the music, too. We ain't even doing that.
Right. We on the front to the end.
When he said he's running it, it's a one-man show. He was not playing.
He said you're going to hear me and me.
You gonna run you running this town.
Produced by me. Right. I know that's right.
It was a one-time thing. I had to make my podcast stand out, and what better than have like a theme song, personally for me.
Of course, we know, we get it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But, thank you again to Let Me Get My Headphones podcast for coming on. Thank you to everyone listening, and we'll see you guys next time.